Sermon on Benares, chapter 10 from first five. Okay, so you all know who is Gautama Buddha. Okay, Gautama Buddha, he lived between the years 563 BC, okay, to 483 BC. Okay, BC stands for before Christ, and in this period it will come in descending order from larger number to smaller number. That is why it is given 563 BC to 483 BC. Okay. And what was the real name of Gautama Buddha? His real name was Siddhartha Gautama. His real name was Siddhartha Gautama, and he lived in the northern India. When he was 12 years old, he was sent to schooling to learn the Hindu sacred scriptures. Okay, the Hindu scriptures he was sent to learn, and 4 years later he came home. So at the age of 12, he went for learning. At the age of 12, he went for learning. Okay, and returned after 4 years. Returned after how many years? 4 years. He returned after 4 years. And he returned to marry a princess. Okay? To marry a princess. Marry a princess. He returned to marry a princess. And his father made sure that he always lived a happy life. His father didn't want him to know the sadness in the world. Okay, his father didn't want him to know the sadness in the world. So in the book it is given as he was shielded from the sufferings of the world. Shielded means protected from the sufferings of the world. How? By not letting him know what really happens in the world. What really happens in the world. Okay, so Siddhartha did not know what is becoming old. Becoming old is a natural thing, but he didn't know that. Okay, as a 16-year-old boy, he didn't know that. And then he didn't know what is getting sick. And he didn't know what is begging, because he was a prince, right? So he has never begged. And he never knew what is the meaning of dying. Okay, thus he was shielded from the worries of the world, the sufferings of the world. One day he goes out of his home. Okay, on that day, first he looks at a sick man. He looks at a man who was very sick, and he looks at the pain he has, and he is not able to understand why this suffering is there. And then he looks at an aged man, an old man. Okay, what is this? He is not like me, healthy. He looks different. His face is wrinkled. He looks at an old man. And then he looks at a funeral procession. Okay, when someone has died, they will take them, right? That is called as procession. And then finally he looks at a monk who was begging. Okay, all this goes inside his heart, and it makes a deep impact in his heart. He wants to know why there is suffering in the world. He wants to know why there is suffering in the world. So he leaves his kingdom, he leaves his family, okay, he leaves his wife and children, okay, and he decides to seek enlightenment. Okay, he decides to seek. What does Buddha decide to seek? Enlightenment. Learn the spelling of enlightenment properly. Okay, E-N-L-I-G-H-T-N-M-E-N-T. It's not enlightenment, enlightenment. E-N-L-I-G-H-T-N-M-E-N-T. Usually everyone will forget this N. Don't forget this N. Enlightenment. He leaves his kingdom, family, to seek enlightenment. Okay, so he wanders for 7 years, and finally he sits under a peepal tree. Okay, there is a tree called people tree. What tree? People tree. Sorry. P-E-E-P-A-L. People tree. He sits under the tree and he vows. Vows means promises. V-O-W. Vows means promises. Not to leave that place until he gets the enlightenment. Okay. So what happens? When he was 12 years old, he was sent to learn the sacred Hindu scriptures. He returned after 4 years. After returning, he goes to marry a princess. Okay, so when he was 16, he marries. Okay, and he was shielded from the sufferings of the world. He was shielded from the sufferings of the world. And he never knew what is the meaning of getting sick. Okay, he never knew what is the meaning of getting sick. He never knew what is begging. He never knew what is the meaning of getting old. He never knew what is the meaning of dying. Because he was protected from all those suffering. He was shielded from all those suffering. And then the first time he sees everything, it has a deep impact on his heart, and he decides to see why there is suffering in the world. So he leaves his family, he leaves his house. He wanders around for 7 years. Okay, he wanders for 7 years. Wanders for how many years? 7 years. And he comes and sits under what tree? People tree. Not people tree. People. P-E-E-P-A-L. Tree. People tree. And what does he do there? He vows. He vows. Okay, he vows. Telling that he won't leave the place until he gets enlightenment. Okay. And after sitting in that people tree. Okay, after sitting under the people tree, after 7 days. Okay, for 7 years he wandered, and 7 days he was sitting under the people tree. Okay, after 7 days he understands, he gets enlightened. He gets enlightened. After 7 days he gets enlightened. Enlightened. Enlightened means, what is the meaning of enlightened? What is the meaning of enlightened? Okay, a state of high spiritual knowledge. Okay, a state of high spiritual knowledge and a great wisdom. He receives it and he renames that people tree to Bodhi tree. That people tree was renamed to Bodhi tree. The people tree was renamed to Bodhi tree. And what is the meaning of Bodhi tree? Tree of wisdom. Tree of wisdom. Tree of wisdom. Bodhi tree is called as the tree of wisdom. Bodhi tree is called as the tree of wisdom. And after getting enlightened, he began sharing that wisdom and knowledge to others. He started preaching. He started preaching about why there is suffering and how we can deal with that suffering. And as people started listening to his sermons, what do you mean by sermons? Sermons means preachings. Okay? After listening to that sermons, people started calling him the Buddha. The Buddha is actually a title. The Buddha. So Gautama Siddhartha is now called the Buddha or the Buddha. Okay, and what is the meaning of Buddha? The awakened or the enlightened. Okay, the meaning of Buddha is awakened. What do you mean by awakened? Okay, for all these days it was like not knowing, not getting enlightened, was like sleeping. Only now I have awakened. I realize everything. Okay, that is why he is called awakened or enlightened. Okay, here enlightened spelling is different. Enlightenment, E-N-L-I-G-H-T, N-M-E-N-T. Enlightened is E-N-L-I-G-H-T-E-N-E. Be careful with the spellings. Okay. So here it is a title, that is why awakened and enlightened is in capital. Okay, because here it is like a title. Okay, so he was called awakened or enlightened. Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Benares. Yeah, enlightenment. This is enlightenment and this is enlightened. Okay. Enlightenment. Okay, he started preaching his first sermon at the city of Benares. At the city of Benares, most holy of the dipping places on river Ganges. So for Hindus, river Ganges is important. They believe, what do they believe? When they dip in the river Ganges, their sins are taken away. They are purified of their sins. And in that, the river Ganges is very long. It will span across many cities, okay, and it will come to the city of Benares too. And especially the river Ganges in the city of river Benares is considered more sacred, okay, and that was the place the Buddha was teaching his first, he was giving his first sermon, okay, and in that Buddha gave one of the inscrutable kind of wisdom about one of the inscrutable kind of suffering. Inscrutable means something that cannot be understood easily. Buddha gave, what did he give? He gave a sermon on one of the inscrutable kind of suffering. One of the inscrutable. Inscrutable means something that cannot be understood. For example, do we know why death happens? We do not know. Okay? And no one can escape death. And this is that sermon. This sermon has been recorded. That sermon has been recorded. And we are going to see that first sermon. So quickly we will go through the first part of the story. Buddha lived between the years 563 BC and 583 BC. He was called Siddhartha Gautama. Okay, he was named Siddhartha Gautama. At 12 years he was sent for learning sacred Hindu scriptures, and then he returned after 4 years. So after that he was married to a princess and he was shielded from sufferings. Okay, he was not allowed to go out and he never knew about the general sufferings that human had to suffer. One day he goes out. Okay, one day he goes out and he happens to see whom? A sick person, an aged man, a funeral procession, and a monk begging. Okay, and this has a deep impact on his this has a deep impact on his heart. Okay, and he wants to know why there is suffering in the world. Okay, so he decides to seek for enlightenment. Okay, you have to be careful with the spelling enlightenment. E-N-L-I-G-H-T-N-M-E-N-T. Enlightenment is now. And for how many years he wants us? He wants us for 7 years. And then finally, okay, he comes and sits under a peepal tree. And what does he do? There he vows, until I get enlightenment, I won't leave this place. I will be sitting under this tree. Okay, and how many days he sits under that tree? 7 days. After the 7th day, he gets enlightened. Enlightened. N-E-N-L-I-G-H-T-E-N. Enlightened. E-D. Okay. After that, he renamed the people tree as Bodhi tree or tree of wisdom. Bodhi tree or tree of wisdom. Okay. And soon Siddhartha, okay, or he is now called the Buddha. And what is the meaning of Buddha? The awakened or enlightened. He starts preaching, okay, and he gives his sermon. And the first sermon he gave in the Benares, okay, and Benares is an important place, okay, because the river Ganges is considered holy, and especially where they dip near Benares it's considered more important. And one of that sermon is here, is recorded and is given here. Okay, so we are now going to see that. So let's look at that sermon. What is that sermon? So we have a lady named Kisa Gotami. What's her name? Kisa Gotami. Kisa Gotami. Okay. She had only one son. She had only one son. Okay. And what happened to the son? This son died. This son died. Imagine. The mother has only one son. Even if she has many sons and many daughters, even if one child dies, will the mother be able to bear the pain? No. But this lady had only one son, and that only son of her died. That only son of her died. Okay? And she was so sorrowful. She doesn't know what to do. And what does she do? She picks her son. Okay, out of grief. Grief means, what do you mean by grief? Grief means sadness. Okay, grief means sadness or worry. Sadness or worry. Sadness or worry. In her grief, she picks her son and goes to each and every people. Do you have any medicine that will bring my son back from dead? Okay, imagine she loved her son so much, she is not able to bear it. She is taking, imagine someone one day takes a dead person to your house and comes and asks in the road, not to your house, in the road, and you see that person is dead, and that lady is asking, can you tell any medicine that will bring him back from dead? What will you think about that person? She has lost her mind. So that is what everyone feels. Look at the book. Everyone tells, people tell, she has lost her senses. She has lost her senses. The boy is dead. And then at length, in a few distance, Kisa Gautami met a man. Okay? Everyone said she was asking for medicine. She was asking for medicine. And everyone told she has lost her mind, lost her senses, as it is in the book. And then one person gives her an instruction. Okay, the person tells, I cannot. Look at the book. Look at the book. I cannot give thee medicine for thy child. It is written in Old English. I cannot give thee medicine for thy child. Thee means you. Thee means you. Okay. Thy means your. Thee means you and thy means your. Okay. So don't get confused when it comes in the exam. Telling what is this? They do not know the spelling for there. They have typed 2E and here they have typed 2N. These two words are Old English. Thee means you. Thy means your. Now with this, read it. I cannot give you medicine for your child, but I know a physician. Physician means doctor who can. Okay. So Kisa Gautami was hopeless till now. No one was able to give anything. And suddenly one person tells, I cannot give you any medicine for your child, but I know a physician. I know a doctor. Okay. And Kisa Gautami gets excited. Okay, and she tells, and the girl said, the girl here refers to Kisa Gautami. Pray, tell me, sir, who is it? Pray here doesn't refer to the act of bowing down or kneeling down and asking something to God. Pray, in the Old English, it's also used to means I beg, I request. Pray here means to beg or to request. To beg or to request. Okay, to beg or to request. And what does she tell? Pray, tell me, sir, who is it? And the man replied. Okay, she asked, who is it? To whom should I go? Who is that physician? And the man tells, go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha. Okay, he just tells, go to the Sakyamuni, the Buddha. Okay, Sakyamuni should be written in capital because it is proper noun, and Buddha should be written in capital. Okay, and Kisagotami referred to the Buddha. Referred means went to. It is a stylistic way of using the word. Kisagotami went to the Buddha and cried. He went to the Buddha and cried, Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy. She ran to Buddha and she asked, Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy. Okay, and Buddha calmly answered her, I want a handful of mustard seed. I want a handful of mustard seed. Okay, so she lost her senses. A man recommends her to go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha. To Sakyamuni, the Buddha. And she prays to him. She asks him, and what does Buddha ask for? Ask for handful. H-A-N-D-F-U-L. Only one L. Handful. Only one L. Handful of what? Mustard seed. Mustard seed. Buddha asked for handful of mustard seed. Imagine how she would feel. Okay? Imagine someone tells, sir, what should I do to pass in this exam? Okay? And they are telling, go there and look at that cupboard. There will be a paper. Okay? That's all they will tell. What will you immediately think? Maybe that paper has all the important questions and you will be running towards it, right? So just like that, after the Buddha told, I want a handful of mustard seed. Okay? I want a handful of mustard seed. And when the girl in her joy promised to procure it, the Buddha added. Okay? The girl promised. Okay, immediately. Who is the girl? Kisagotami. Kisagotami immediately out of joy told, I will definitely bring it. Procure means I will bring it. I will get from someone and I will bring it. But Buddha gives her, tells her something. He adds something to it. He tells, you have to get mustard seed. Mustard seed. You have to get mustard seed. But from whom? Okay, but from whom? It must be from a house where no one has lost a child, husband. No one has lost a child, husband, parent or friend. Parent or friend. So the Buddha tells, okay, getting the mustard seed is not enough. Okay, getting the mustard seed is not enough. You should go to a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent or a friend. From that house you have to get the mustard seed. Okay, and poor Kisagotami, Kisagotami went from one house to the other. Okay, and every people pitied her because It looked, imagine someone going from house to house and asking this question. Here is mustard seed, people pitied her and said, here is mustard seed, take it. Okay, so Kisagotami went to each house and asked. Everyone understood why she is asking. Okay, so they were ready to give mustard seed. They gave mustard seed, handful of mustard seed. But she asked the second question. Did a son or daughter, a father or mother die in your family? Okay, so they gave the mustard seed. Giving the mustard seed was not a problem. Everyone will have mustard seed. They were ready to give. But she posed the second question. The same. What was the request of Buddha? You have to get mustard seed from whom? From a home where they have lost a child, where no one has lost a child, husband, parent or family, where no one has lost any of these. So she goes, she gets handful of mustard seed. But then she asks, did anyone, a son or daughter, father or husband, die in your family? And they tell, yes. Of course, everyone would have lost someone, right? Everyone would have, if someone comes to our family and asks, give me some mustard seed, and then they tell, only if no one has died in your family. Most of our grandparents would have died. Okay? For some, a friend would have died. And there are some who would have lost their wife or husband or their children. Okay? So no one, okay, no one was able to give her. And finally, okay, she was so sad. And they all told, alas, alas, in Tamil you will tell ayyo, right? Ayyo. Okay, just like that. Alas, it is an interjection. Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Don't remind us of our deepest grief. Okay, so every people told, see, more than the living, the dead are many. Many have died than the people who are living in the earth. Than the people living in the earth. Okay, and they tell, do not remind us of our deepest grief. Do not remind us of our sad moments. Okay, so Kisa Gautami is asking for mustard seed. Imagine, she knocks at the door and she asks for a mustard seed. And she asks, did your son die, your daughter die, or your husband die, or your father or brother died? Imagine if they had lost someone recently, how will they feel? Well, then, yes, I have lost. Please don't remind me of that pain. So they tell, alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. Okay, there was no house where they have not lost anyone. Everyone has lost someone. They have died. Everyone has lost someone whom they had loved so much. Okay, finally, Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeless. Weary and hopeless. What do you mean by weary? Weary, W-E-A-R-Y. Weary means very tired. Weary means very tired. Kisa Gautami became very tired. T-I-R-E-D. Tired spelling is T-I-R-E-D. Tired spelling is T-I-R-E-D. Okay. So finally Kisa Gautami was weary and hopeless. She lost all her hopes and sat down at the wayside watching the lights of the city, and they flickered up and were extinguished again. Okay, so in those days they didn't have electrical lights. See, Buddha lived during which time? Which time? 563 BC to 483 BC. At those times we didn't have any electronic things. Okay, we didn't have street lights we have nowadays. They had only lamps in the streets. Okay, Kisa Gautami was sitting in the wayside, okay, in the pathway, and she was weary. Weary means extremely tired, and she was hopeless. She has lost all her hope. Okay, and she was seeing the light flickering. Okay, like our modern lights, those lights won't be always. They won't be like our present light. Okay, it will be flickering. Fire will be flickering, right? You would have seen fire flickering, right? They will go and come back, and then finally it was extinguished. At last, the darkness of night reigned everywhere. The darkness of night reigned everywhere. Imagine if all the street lights are gone. And in those days we didn't have any electric lights. The lamps already, it won't be so bright. Everything is gone. How will the street be? It will be completely dark. So she is telling, at last, when the entire place was ruled by darkness. Okay, reigned means ruled by darkness. Okay, and she considered the fate of men, and their lights flicker and are extinguished again. Just as those lamps flicker and get extinguished, the life of men also, they live for a while in this world, and at one point they die. Okay, just as a lamp. Okay, candle, you take a candle. Will it be like forever? The candle will go? No. After a while, it will die. Okay, sometimes you will extinguish it, or sometimes it will melt and extinguish. One way or the other, it will be extinguished. But at one point, the candle will completely melt and it will be gone. Just like that, she looked at the light, the lamps in the street, it flickered and it got extinguished. She tells that is the condition of men too. We all live for a while. Here, men represents both men and women. Okay, it's not only like man. Okay, we all live for a while and at one point we die. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief? How selfish am I in my grief? Okay, death is common to all. Underline this line is very important. How selfish I am in my grief. Death is common to all. Death is common to all. Death is common to all. Okay, because what happened? Kisa Gautami was very sad and she was taking her son and asking for mustard seed, and she asked what question to everyone? Did anyone die in your family? A father, mother, brother, sister, friend, or your children? Do you think when you ask this question they will feel comfortable? Will they feel comfortable if they had lost someone? Imagine there is a woman and she has lost her husband. You go and ask her, did you lose your husband recently? I want mustard seed. How will she feel? She will feel more hurt. So Kisa Gautami is realizing, in my grief, how selfish I had been. I didn't think about how others would feel. Everyone would have had a death in their family. I didn't think about how they would feel when I asked them. How selfish I had been in my grief. When I get sorrow, I have become so selfish. Have you seen, when you become sad, you will be angry with your parents. You do not know what I am going through. You do not know anything. You will just sit simply in the house and watch TV. And you will eat. You know how much I suffer at school? You will not think about anyone and you will shout. And when you shout, who gets hurt? Your mother gets hurt. And does your mother sit simply at home? No. Does your father sit simply at home? They too have suffering, but they don't share with you. Okay? When you suffer, you become selfish. You think about only your suffering. You don't think about others' suffering. Just like that, Kisa Gautami thought only about the death of her son. But is death common only to her son? No, death is common to all. She realizes how selfish I had been. Death is common to all. Next line is also very important. They will ask, okay? Yet in this valley of desolation means in this world that is filled full of sorrow. Valley of desolation. Yet in this valley of desolation. Valley is the place present between two mountains. Okay? This is the mountain and this is the valley. Okay? She considers this as life. Okay? She compares this to life on earth. Okay? Yet in this valley of desolation, yet in our sorrowful life, of our life that is filled with misery, there is a path that leads him to immortality, who has surrendered all his selfishness. Okay? Kisa Gautami tells, yet even though we cannot overcome death, okay? Can we overcome death? It is not possible for us. Okay? But God has overcome. God can overcome anything. Okay? So, she tells, yet in this valley of desolation, there is a way to overcome by one who has surrendered all his selfishness. Okay? Here Buddha is not considered as God. That is why it is given like, there is a path that leads him to immortality, who has surrendered all selfishness. Okay? So, God is greater. God can overcome anything. In the Bible it's given, Christ overcame death after his resurrection. Okay? So here she is talking about a different thing. She is telling, Yet in the valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to immortality, who has surrendered all selfishness. Okay, who will become immortal? First of all, what is the meaning of immortal? Immortal means one who will never die. One who will never die. Okay. See, Mahatma Gandhi, is he dead? He is dead. But do we remember him? We remember him. Why do we remember him? Because he acted selflessly. Imagine Gandhi thought, why should I suffer for these stupid people? I will be a lawyer and I will work for the British government and I will earn money and I will live peacefully. No, he was not selfish. He was selfless. He surrendered to everything and he became selfless. That is how he became immortal. So that is what Kisa Gautami tells. Yet in this valley of desolation, in this life that is filled with sorrow and misery, okay, there is a path that leads to light. And what leads to light? The man who surrenders his selfishness. Okay, Buddha tells, okay, this is very important. Buddha tells the life of the mortals in this world is troubled and brief combined with pain. Buddha tells the life of mortals means anyone who would die. The life of the mortals in this world is troubled. It is filled with sorrow. Okay? And it is very brief. Brief means short. What do you mean by brief? Brief means short. Okay? Buddha tells our life on this earth is troubled. It has lots of troubles. It is short and it is filled with pain. For there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is death. Of such a nature are living beings. Okay? Buddha tells, no matter what you do, if you are born, you should die someday. You should die. Okay? If anyone who is born in this world, one day they have to die. And how will they die? Usually it is by getting older, they will die. And this is the nature of this world. This is the nature of this world. And it cannot be changed. And Buddha gives some example. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals when born are always in danger of death. Okay? Which fruit will fall down from the tree? Which will fall down from the tree? When will a fruit fall down from the tree? When it is ripe, when it has become ripe. Just like that, if you are born, that's it. You cannot do anything. One day you will die. If you are born, you will die. Just as a ripe fruit falls first, if you are born, you will die. And Buddha gives another example. What is the other example? Imagine an earthen pot is made. Can you use that pot for like 500 years, 2000 years? No. If a pot is made, one day it is going to be broken. Either accidentally or sometimes it will get old and it will shatter automatically. Okay? So, when an earthen pot is made, one day it is going to get broken. So, just like that, you mortal, if you are born, you are going to die one day. Okay? And those are the examples that he gives. And look at it. Does death have any discrimination? No. This is a topper. I will leave him. Okay? This is a foolish boy. I will take him. Okay? This girl is tall. Okay? I will leave her. This boy is very short. What is he going to do? I will take him. Okay? This guy is rich. This guy is poor. I will take him. Does death have any discrimination? No. This guy is a CEO. He has lived enough. He has a big company. He has many children. I will take him. No, death doesn't have any discrimination. Whether you are rich or poor, whether you are young or old, whatever you are, whether you are a wise man or a foolish man, death will take you. Okay, death will take you. Okay, everyone will fall into the power of death. All are subjected to death. All are subjected to death. Of those who overcome by death, depart from life. Okay, so overcome by death means death has conquered someone. It means one who has died. and their life parts. Okay, they no longer live in this planet. They depart from life. A father cannot save his son. Okay, the son has died. Can a father tell, I am his father, I want my son back? No, he cannot bring his life back. Okay, or a kinsman, their relation. Kinsman means your relationship. Okay, can an uncle come and tell, my brother, he has died, I have to bring him back? Or can your neighbor tell, I want my neighbor back? No one can bring back anyone. Mark. Okay, mark. Okay, Buddha tells, mark, listen. Okay, listen. Or note it, mark, note it. While relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one, mortals are carried off like an ox that is led to slaughter. Okay, how will they take a cow, an ox to cut? Just like that. Okay, one person has died. You are sitting and lamenting. Lamenting means crying deeply. Okay, you are sitting and crying deeply. When you are crying, many other people are dying in this world. Just like an ox will be taken to slaughter, everyone are dying. And what is the point in sitting and crying? Now you can connect this with the ball poem. You can connect this with ball poem. Okay, what does Buddha tell? When you are sitting and crying for this person who has died, many other people are dead. One by one they are dying. They are being carried by death as an ox would be carried for slaughter. Okay, you can connect this with ball poem. Okay, where in that poem they tell, balls will be lost, little boy, and no one buys a ball back. Money is external. Okay, so in the ball poem, what do they tell? Okay, ball stands for anything that you love. If a person whom you love has died, you cannot do anything about that. No one can buy them back. Money is external. With money, you cannot bring them back. Buddha says the same thing. Okay, you are sitting and crying. There is no use of crying. Because when you are crying, many other people are dying. Last paragraph. Okay, so the world is afflicted with death and decay. The world is filled with death and decay. Decay here refers to suffering. Therefore, the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. Therefore, the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. The wise people know this is what life is in the world, and we cannot do anything about it. Okay, so they won't sit and cry. Now look at the ball poem. Look at the ball poem. The same line will be given in the ball poem too. Okay, knowing that every man must one day know, and most men know many days, how to stand up. Okay, in the ball poem, in the last two lines it tells, knowing that every man must one day know, and most know many days how to stand up. Okay, everyone will lose balls. Buddha here tells everyone will die, and the wise man will never sit and cry. And here they tell every man knows, and they have to stand up. They cannot sit and cry. So Buddha tells wise men won't cry when someone has died. Not crying means they will shed some tears, but they won't sit and lament on that. You are sitting and crying. What's the purpose of it? Imagine a wife has lost her husband. She has 4 or 5 children. If she sits and cries for 2 or 3 months, what will happen to the children? It is difficult. It will be very painful. But sitting and crying is not going to change anything. We have to stand up and we have to act. And that is what wise people will do. They won't grieve, they won't lament. Last paragraph. Not from weeping nor from weeping will anyone obtain peace of mind. On the contrary, his pain will be the greater and his body will suffer. Buddha tells, if you are crying, nothing is going to happen. It won't bring you peace of mind. Okay, crying won't give you peace of mind. It will only make you suffer more physically as well as psychologically or mentally. He will make himself sick and pale. You sit and cry. You don't eat anything. You are crying. You will become very sick, pale, colorless and weak. Yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. Okay, you sat and cried for 1 month. Will the dead person come? You cried too much for me, so here I am. No, they can't come. He who seeks peace should draw out of the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. Okay, so one who seeks peace, okay, someone has died and this person wants peace. What should they do? They should stop complaining. Why God has done this to me? They should stop that. Okay, you have cried a lot, enough. It will be painful. God too knows it will be painful. But there is no point in crying. Okay, if God has decided otherwise, there is no point in crying. Okay, he who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed will obtain peace of mind. So those who have drawn out the arrow of lamentation and left it, they will have peace. He who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. So one who has stopped worrying will be free from worries and he will be blessed. That is the meaning of sermon at Benares. Okay. So personally I won't agree with this. Okay, it is a good philosophy. It is a good philosophy. But God is almighty. Right? If He wants, He can bring anyone back from death. Okay. But if He wishes otherwise, it is good to follow His will. Okay. This is not related to the lesson. I just wanted to tell. Okay. So what is the philosophy? There is no point in crying over dead people. There is no point in crying over dead people because no matter how much you cry, they can't come back. If a fruit has become ripe in a tree, it is the first fruit that will fall. Just like that, if someone is born, they will die. If a earthen pot is made, if it is made one day, it will get broken. Just like that, those who are born will die. Okay? For all men are mortal. Mortal means everyone will die. But who can become immortal? One who surrenders his selfishness. Okay? And stops being selfless. That is why Mahatma Gandhi is still remembered. That is why all the noble people are still remembered. Because they lived selflessly. Okay? They lived selflessly. Okay, such person will become immortal in this valley of desolation. Valley of desolation refers to the world that is filled with pain and sorrow. Okay, did you understand? Okay, thank you.